My wife and parents think I came home after going missing, but it isn't me." He pointed to the hill opposite and handed me the binoculars. I aimed them in the direction indicated and was surprised to see a very old red brick tower, partially covered by the edge of the woodland. It would have had a commanding view of the countryside below, but it didn't look military. It looked like it had been built in either the 1500s or 1600s and was part of a church or manor house. It was difficult to see what condition it was in from where we were, but we were both absolutely intrigued by it. We'd looked at an old ordnance survey map of the area before, and neither of us could remember seeing any churches or major buildings on that hill, with the exception of the radio mast, obviously. We both love history, and seriously contemplated clambering down the ridge, crossing the road, and climbing up the other side to look at the tower. But as I say, the weather wasn't looking great. The road was busy, and we had a fairly long walk across bad terrain to get back to the car. So we agreed we'd go back the following weekend, park the car at the base of the hill where the tower was located, and head up to explore. So the following weekend, we walked up the hill, past a small caravan site and past the radio mast, which was fenced and gated off, but it looked pretty boring. We couldn't see a path that'd lead us to the tower, so we had to go by memory and work out the rough direction we'd need to head. In the end, it involved walking through brambles and undergrowth, and thickest part of the wood. But we made it. In front of us was a substantial red brick tower, perhaps 25 meters tall, or around 80 feet, for those of you who don't use metric. It looked old, maybe Tudor, so 1500s, and was partially ruined. We could see that the top of it had crumbled a little. From our angle, we couldn't really see the roof, but we guessed it must have fallen in at least, partially based on the state of the rest of it. Having said all that, the rest of it looked well preserved, especially given that there were no paths to it, meaning, presumably, that no one carried out any kind of regular maintenance on the place. We walked around the base of the tower. It was square, maybe 10 meters by 10 meters, or 30 feet by 30 feet. And there were no windows on the ground floor, or first floor, for my American readers, but there was one on each side from the second story up, for a total of 4 stories including the first floor. Like the story? Like, comment and share it for the next part.